Welcome to History of, a brand new series where we discuss and talk about historical events that shaped the comic book heroes and villains we have come to love till this day. This series will mainly be tackling Spider-Man and the grand history of stories he has from the books, and maybe even some history on the films as well. These videos are intended either for die-hard fans who want to relive and recap their favourite superhero's origin, or newcomers who find it intimidating to catch up with all the lore and backstories. We will also be covering other comic heroes and villains in the future, so make sure to hit that big red subscribe button if you don't want to miss another history video. With that being said, what better place to start than Spider-Man's origin? Spider-Man was created way back in 1962 by writer Stan Lee and illustrator Steve Ditko, and first appeared in the Amazing Fantasy issue 15, which subsequently would be the last in the Amazing Adult Fantasy comic line written by Stan Lee. However, Spidey's run to the top of comic book superheroes wasn't easy, as Stan Lee himself has said that the title had been slated for cancellation several times. The main reason for Spidey's reluctancy comes from the fact that superheroes were nothing like how we interpret them today at the time. Spider-Man rebirthed superheroes as we know them. In the 1960s and prior, superheroes were nothing like Spider-Man. They weren't relatable, they didn't have money problems, and they almost certainly were not teenagers. Teenage superheroes were rigorously associated with sidekicks, a trope that had become extremely popular between the likes of Batman and Robin. This was at a time before superheroes had relatable issues, but Stan Lee wanted to change that. And thus, Lee finally was given the go-ahead to introduce the Wallcrawler in Amazing Fantasy 15. And because of the demanding success of the character, only 7 months later did Spider-Man get his own comic line, starting with The Amazing Spider-Man Issue 1. But what made Spider-Man so popular with the audiences? Well, it's something fresh, something no one had ever seen before. Peter Parker, a high school kid, a guy who is an orphan and lives with his aunt and uncle who are also struggling for money, gets bitten by a radioactive spider. He gains the powers of a spider, including wall crawling, increased strength and agility, and of course, his classic spider sense, which allows Peter to sense danger, almost like a warning signal. Although the Sam Raimi movies would have you believe that Peter also gains the power to shoot webs from his wrists, Peter actually creates his web shooters from scratch using his mind. This consistent presence of his intelligence causes him to get bullied at school for being the quote-unquote nerd, which once again feeds into the idea that Peter Parker is the embodiment of the everyman. The whole point of the character is that it could have been anyone that got bitten by the spider, any nerd, any jock, any man or any woman, thus leading to the very popular and still talked about statement today that anyone can wear the mask. Peter would go on to discover his powers in the same issue, and then go on to lose Uncle Ben, thrusting him into his superhero career, narrating at the end the classic line, "With great power comes great responsibility." Amazing Spider-Man issue 1 intended to continue this run of Spidey being the everyman, with the intention of showing how a normal person's life can be impacted by the world of superheroes. He's no Tony Stark, he's no World War II super soldier, he's just a kid. Spider-Man would go on to engage with some of his fiercest foes in his rogues gallery in the first 9 issues, including classic villains like Chameleon, the Vulture, Doc Ock, Sandman, the Lizard, and Electro. J. Jonah Jameson also made his grand appearance in the first issue of the series as well, going on to be one of the most recognizable characters in the franchise. Flash Thompson would also make his appearance in issue 1 and would be a very recognizable face to the Spider-Man mythos. Over the years, there have been many different retellings of the origin story. However, 2 of my personal favourite are the Ultimate Spider-Man line of comics and Spider-Man Season 1. Many people are familiar with the Ultimate line of Spider-Man comics, since it's a whole different universe born with the intention of starting anew. Although the Ultimate Universe doesn't exist any longer since it started suffering from the same problems as the 616 universe, which was the overcomplication of stories and crossovers, Spider-Man's origin provides a fresh take on the character. However, if you're looking for a modern, up-to-date retelling of the classic 616 origin story, which is the universe Spider-Man was originally birthed into, Spider-Man Season 1 is a great shout. This story manages to bring modern fans up to speed on the story from Amazing Fantasy 15 in a concise way. However, there are some changes. Flash Thompson and J. Jonah Jameson are introduced straight away from the get-go, but there still is no Mary Jane and Gwen Stacy, just as in the original series, they didn't get introduced till further down the line. The comic also introduces the Vulture as Spider-Man's first villain, in which was the Chameleon in The Amazing Spider-Man issue 1. Mostly, the comic doesn't change many things up in terms of Peter's motivation and greed, once again learning responsibility by the end of the story. And in my opinion, it's a great read. But if you're looking for something that is modernized and you can also continue reading the story, then I do recommend the Ultimate Spider-Man origin story, continuing with the Ultimate Spider-Man comic line. While Spider-Man Season 1 does provide an up-to-date take on the classic 616 origin story, if you want to continue the story, you still have to go back to the 60s after reading the modern take, which could be quite daunting for some people. However, if you are just looking to read an origin story and don't really care about reading further than that, then I do recommend Spider-Man Season 1, as it's a concise and up-to-date retelling of the classic story. That is it for the origin of Spider-Man and his inception. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit that like button, make sure to hit that subscribe button to not miss the next history video and all types of Spider-Man news and theories. I also do post fanfictions as well, where we continue lost stories and also pre-write and do some rewrites as well. And if you are interested in all of that, then do make sure to hit that subscribe button and make sure to hit the bell next to the subscribe button so you do not miss any more videos as soon as they go out on the channel. And also, speaking of Spider-Man, if you would like awesome superhero clothing based off your favorite superheroes, then make sure to click the link in the description down below to I Am Superhero, who are a company based off giving you high quality superhero based clothing designs. I highly recommend you go and check them out, but with that being said, thank you for watching. I'll see you all in the next video. Take care and peace.